Morning everyone, welcome back to the shed. This is this week's news roundup for you to enjoy, I hope. Today is also the 100th anniversary of the Battle of the Somme, and I couldn't really do this and let that anniversary pass by without some sort of comment. Watching the news report this morning and seeing the 100-second gun salute in London was a really emotional thing to watch, I think, and kind of puts everything else that you go through slightly into perspective when you're watching those kind of things happen, and also remembering 7:30 on the 1st of July 100 years ago. You kind of think, wow, any problems that we may have today kind of pale into insignificance, and it kind of takes your mind away from the trivial nature of a lot of our worries, I think, and to even imagine what those people must have felt and the emotions that must have been running through their heads on that summer's morning is almost impossible to get your head around. The idea that young children, 15, 16 years of age, who'd lied to join up, were then going to be killed en masse is almost too heartbreaking to contemplate. And it's one of the things that has always been in the back of my mind as a model maker. I spend my entire life building military subjects, and yet that always conflicts with my rather pacifist leanings, and I'm always slightly torn by the idea that when I'm building something and it kind of looks cool on the workbench, often that machine is designed only for one thing, and so my awareness of that stays with me through every project, and I try and keep a handle on that and keep an eye on that. So today is a really important anniversary. I think we all should remember those people that died on that battlefield in their tens of thousands, and we should never really forget. So I wanted to speak about that this morning. I wanted to say something about the anniversary and then put my thoughts forward in hopefully not too bleak a way, really. So to all those people that died 100 years ago, may they all rest in peace. Okay, changing the subject. You can see that I'm currently surrounded by sabres at the moment. These are two projects that I'm doing for work. They've been built side by side. Normally I only build one model at a time, and I try and sort of keep the subjects singular as well. I get really bored, and the idea of building the same thing over and over again doesn't really appeal to me too much. My attention span is just too limited. But I decided I was going to build these two together for a very good reason. Firstly, I've built an American F-86E, this one here. This is painted in natural metal, reflects a Korean War aircraft, and follows all of the steps and techniques that I showed you with the natural metal painting on the T-33. Really pleased with this, actually. It looks quite nice this morning. It's a bit darker than I wanted it to be, but it kind of reflects the grubby look of those F-86 sabres that we used during the Korean War. This one is painted following a model I saw in a Hasegawa catalogue probably 35 years ago now, I think, and somebody had built their 32nd scale kit in this colour scheme, and I always wanted to replicate it. So when Edward released their kit in collaboration with Hasegawa last year, I think, I just had to build this one. I really like these markings. They're kind of stripped back. I like the tail flash, so I decided this was the one I was going to go for, and it's almost complete. You can see the sub-assemblies on the desk, so with a bit of luck, this one, in fact both of these, will be done today. I've only got the seats to paint, so once they're painted, the straps are on, everything could be put together. The second one, this one here, is an RAF F4. I decided that I was going to go for a different colour scheme and replicate an RAF aircraft. Adds to my collection of RAF aircraft in the scale. But there's a very good reason why I'm building another Sabre, and this one in particular. When I first started building models 40 years ago, magazines were limited in their availability. You could buy Airfix magazine, Scale Models magazine, Scale Aircraft Modelling, and that was kind of it really. And I started buying Scale Aircraft Modelling from my village shop. I think they'd got one in, and I picked it up for 50p or something like that. So that started me on the path to buying magazines. And then I bought, in December of 1979, these things stick with you, a Scale Models magazine. And within that magazine there were fantastic authors, one of which stood out to me, and his name in the magazine at that time was Joe Saki, or as I was told later on, Joe Saki. Now, it was only later that I found out that Joe Saki was actually Roger Chesnow. Roger Chesnow was an extremely well respected author, model maker. He produced his own series of books through his own publishing house, and remains to this day my single biggest influence across everything that I do. He is not only, in my opinion, the greatest author ever to put pen to paper in a modelling magazine. He wrote with the most beautiful flow. I could read a short review by Roger and know it was his without even seeing his name at the bottom. And that to me was really inspiring. As somebody that wanted to get into publishing and wanted to build models for a living and write about them and all of that other nonsense, it was a fascinating thing, and I just loved the way he wrote. Now, Roger died last year. I only spoke to him once on the telephone, never met him face to face, much to my dismay actually. And I heard about his death, and I heard that Models for Sale had taken his entire model collection, and I spoke to them at the National Championships, and they very kindly offered to provide me with one of his kits. This is one of Roger's kits. It was one he bought, it was one I assumed he wanted to make at some point. So I've built this as my tribute to Roger Chesnow and my tribute to him as a model maker, him as an author, and an inspiration to me and to what I've done over the last 20 years as a professional. So it's a fantastic honour for me to have one of his kits. I really didn't want to mess this up, and I really wanted to create something that I hope he would have liked. It's kind of painted as well to follow a similar style to what Roger would have achieved, and it allows me to, in some small way, have something that belonged to what is in effect my idol. So Roger, if you're up there looking down, this is for you, my old mate. I really hope you like it when it's finished, and yeah, one of Roger Chesnow's models, fantastic. I may actually write this up in the magazine under the name of Joe Saki, just as a tribute. I may even try and follow his style of writing, see how that goes. But Roger, this is for you, my old mate. Behind me as well, I have another model that I've been working on. Just very quickly, just to give you some idea of the kind of nonsense that I get involved in. This is Ravel's issue of the old Matchbox Private E that I've been building. This is a model I've wanted to build for years. And now that I'm sort of 10-15 hours into filling and sanding it, I'm kind of wondering why, to be honest. It's a bit tricky, really. Here's the wing. You can see that it's got a load of filler primer on it. The reason for this is that, as moulded, it's got a load of sink marks here above the wheel bay. You can see that there's some ribs inside the wheel bay, and that's reflected on the surface of this upper wing. it's taken me an eternity to sand this down and to get it kind of smooth. It looks sort of smooth now, and I think underneath its dark blue final finish you won't be able to see that. And I'm hoping that once I've sanded all this down as well, I'm going to rivet it, because it's covered in raised panel lines and I've decided I don't really want to rescribe this. So I'm going to sand it all smooth, make the whole thing as smooth as possible, and then I'm going to rivet it with a riveting tool. So hopefully it'll look kind of cool like that. I really like the aeroplane, and I kind of like the kit, despite the fact it's driving me bonkers. So hopefully with a bit of luck and prevailing wind and me not throwing it out the door in frustration, this privateer will be built and revealed in model airplane over the next coming months. I have a set of decals that I got from Model Art, which will reflect a French Navy aircraft, which is what I'd always planned to do. Some of you might remember the old Matchbox ads that appeared in magazines in the early 80s. There was one in there where there was a guy sat and he'd got this privateer in front of him. That's kind of what inspired me to have a crack at this. So this is Matchbox's privateer, which leads me on to another future build, which is this thing. My good friend Ian Haywood has given me this to build. Ian sort of collects some of my models. He's got a few of my models in his sort of collection. He loves to have stuff. But he's a really big fan of Matchbox kits, and over the years he's bought a few of them, one of which is this Lysander, and we got into a conversation and I said that I'd build it for him. I think the fee is a pint and a chip butty, something along those lines, which I'm more than happy to do. I built this as a kid and really enjoyed it. I still love this kit. It's really typical of Matchbox's old 32nd scale kits. This one's moulded in two-tone grey and black. All the decals are kind of in here. These are slightly yellowed now. I'm not sure how these are going to work, but hopefully they'll look okay. The instructions, I mean, come on, it's a Matchbox kit. Just the instructions are so well drawn. It's just beautiful. I love it. Listen, it's no AMK kit, but for people like me who tend to live their lives in the past and are nostalgic to a point of obsession, this kind of thing's just great. So really looking forward to building this. I'm hoping to get some of the sub-assembly work done on this next week. The camouflage scheme that I've chosen will be this one on the box, which is just lovely, the grey, green and black one. I'm going to go for this, I think. Not sure about those decals at the moment. I'm slightly worried about those, so I think that the markings may have to be painted. Certainly the fin flashes, roundels, I think on the upper wings and on the fuselage may have to be painted. So we'll see about that, but really great, great kit. I get myself into these jobs and sometimes I wonder why, but in this case, really looking forward to that. Okay. We've had a bunch of new kits sent through to us, so I'll quickly go through these so you can see what's recently been made available. The first one is this. This is Tamiya's 112th Repsol Honda. This is Marquez's championship winning bike from 2014. Fantastic kit. I love 1/12 scale bikes from Tamiya. They just go together brilliantly, and even the older ones which I've started building and collecting are just a dream to build, and they look so lovely when they're done. They're like little jewels. This one is a wonderfully detailed kit. Anybody that's built any of these new generation bikes won't see too much to surprise them in this. Moulded in white and silver. I'll just quickly pick that up. Moulded in white and silver. It also includes a full set of masks for the complex white and fluorescent orange, red and black finish on this bike, which is really useful. These aren't die cut, you have to cut these out, but a sharp scalpel, a ruler and a steady hand, there's no problem with these at all. Decals are for all of the sponsors' markings, and also the black trim on this. Rubber tyres, some screws and bits and bobs. Detail in this is astonishing, and I think with care it'll build up into a real showcase. It's just such a beautiful bike, beautiful colour scheme as well. Haven't got a bike on the bench at the moment for the first time in nearly 18 months, so I think this will be the next one that I build. Just really looking forward to it. I just have to clear all this clutter and aircraft out of the way, and then hopefully I can find a week or so to have a crack at this. Really looking forward to this. Beautiful model, well recommended. We've had two MiG-29 Fulcrums come in as well. This one from Italy, with Polish markings, anniversary markings as well, and also this one from Zvezda. Although of the same aircraft in the same scale, these two kits are poles apart in terms of what they provide. This is a real tour de force in terms of detail and all of the features that it provides. And although it's in 72nd scale, it's far from being a simple beginner's kit. This is a real enthusiast's model and provides some beautiful detail, and will build up into a highly detailed replica of this aircraft. This is a much simpler approach. A couple of sprues in here. It's probably got only 70-80 parts. What's the highlight of this kit though are these anniversary markings for the Polish Air Force. You may well have seen a load of these at air shows around the world. I think there were two of these aircraft with these special markings on them. It looked great. It's worth buying just for the decal sheet actually. But it's a nice kit. It's got recessed panel lines. It looks like the accuracy of it's okay. Shape looks pretty good. So we have a choice of two new Fulcrums. You kind of pay your money to take your choice for these two kits. For beginner, perfect. For those looking for a more involved build, definitely the Zvezda kit. This is really excellent. Both these kits came from the hobby company, so I'd like to thank those for supplying these, as well as the Tamiya kit that we've just had a look at. These are both available now, so if you want to build a MiG-29, you can buy these from model shops. We've also had a new truck kit sent in from us from the hobby company. This one here, the Centaur. Billiat Renault 360 Centaur. This kit was first released in 1983 as a R360 Turbo and has subsequently been reissued 3 times since then. I think it was upgraded in 83 to a Centaur and then reissued in 2015 and in 2016, this boxing being the 2016 version. I think it's probably the same as the 2015 offering, only decals and some trim options being provided as an alternative. If you've built any of these 24th scale kits before, you'll find again very little to surprise you. This box is extremely full of black, white and grey sprues, lots of detail, complex chassis built up of individual runners and cross members with all of the chassis parts being built onto that. It's not a single section, so that's a complex piece of assembly but a fun thing to build. Detail's always been good on these kits, right from their first release in the early 80s up until now. Over the years, Italy have reworked various parts of them, offered new tyres, that kind of thing. Also offered quite spectacular decal sheets as well. The one in this is really superb with all of the red trim for the vehicle that's on the box art. So I think this will build up into a very nice model actually. Those of you that want to can add a raft of additional features. I mean, a whole bunch of new details can be put into the chassis or the brake lines. You can detail the engine up, put bits and pieces inside the cab. You can build it pristine or weather it. This is a really fun project for anybody looking for something that's different from what they would normally build. I'd build aircraft and armour. This would be a really good diversion from that. I like this kit a lot. I like these trucks. They look great. Certainly with trailers on, they can be huge projects as well. So really nice reissue of this old kit, and I think with the embellishments that Italy have put on, certainly something that's worth checking out. Finally, we have this. Forgive the box, I've actually started work on this, which is why I've cut this box up. The reason for that is that Revell persist in supplying their kits in these end opening boxes, and they're just a nightmare, so I tend to cut it so I can open it up and put all of the parts in. This is a reworking of Revell's earlier EC135 and 145 kits to produce the new UH-72A Lakota. This is the American Army's new liaison helicopter. I think they also use it for medevac and troop transport as well. It's a really attractive helicopter. It's beautiful to look at, and even in military colours it looks great. This is the first time I've taken a really close look at this kit, and I have to say that it's a brilliant combination of detail and features. The external sections of the fuselage are beautifully detailed with lots of kind of fine rivets and also raised panels and scribed panel lines as well. So unlike their Lynx kit, which was smooth, this thing is covered in the kind of features you would expect from a helicopter. It's a brilliant kit. I really like it so far. I've done all the internal stuff, which is kind of why I'm not holding it. It's drying out on the bench at the moment. I've built the interior, and I've also painted a lot of the actual floor members. It's kind of got a monocoque that builds up and then that slots into the fuselage. So I've painted all that. It's looking pretty good at the moment. The kit offers two different colour schemes in this. This three-tone scheme here that's on the box, and also an overall green aircraft. But we've decided to do something slightly different. Excuse me. We've decided to do an aircraft from the Kazakhstan Air Force. Found some photographs of this thing online, and it's in this beautiful gloss blue-grey colour with full colour markings on it. The aircraft is essentially exactly the same. It's got different aerials running up the tail, but it's just gorgeous. And so rather than doing something sombre with this, I'm going to do a glossy grey aircraft. So I think that'll be a nice twist on what's supplied by Revell, and give us something slightly different from the norm, which is always good. Before I sign off, a couple of things to round up. Last week we took a look at the Belkit's Escort kit, and I mentioned that I wasn't sure what colour it was. Well, a guy called Simon Cousins has been in touch with me through my Facebook page. Thanks, Simon. And he's told me that that blue is actually called Olympic blue. So that gives me a way of checking now the correct shade. So I'd really like to thank him for that. That's really brilliant. I guess it goes to show that by putting these things out and putting them onto the forums and other platforms out there, it allows us to all come together and bring information in. Thanks once again for watching these videos. Thanks for taking the time to watch the build on the video rather on the Harrier build. It is still over here. It's as it was a couple of days ago. Still drying out. Still looking okay. So thanks very much for that, and thanks very much for those who so far subscribed to this channel. We're up to about 740 now, I think, which is brilliant for a couple of months in. So I'd like to take this opportunity to wish you all a great weekend. Have a good time. Be lovely to each other. I'd also like to wish Wales all the best for later on in their game against Belgium. And hopefully I'll see you again next week. Take care of each other and see you soon. Bye now.